Welcome back to another episode of Sexy Theology. With me today, I have the alien, the man, the myth, the legend, Evan, Handsome Hatcher. Hey, real quickly, in my phone, your name is Evan Handsome Hatcher,
Right.
but your name in my phone is Evan Handsome Hatcher because my name in your phone is...
Austin Handsome Molt.
And why is it called that? Just tell everybody real quick.
That came back. Because
Forever ago.
I asked you for your number in high school.
Yep. That just sounds weird.
Sounds super weird, doesn't it?
I was asking for your number.
Yeah, I have no game, by the way, so that's good. I asked for your number, and I said, "Well, what's your middle?" Or somehow we got in the topic of middle names. You're
Yep.
like, "It's Hansel," and then next thing I knew it was Austin Handsome Molt
As a
in
joke.
my phone, and
Yeah.
I haven't had the guts to change it. So,
You know what, though? I feel really encouraged by that.
how do you feel about aliens?
Yeah, that's what. Well, we need. Okay, so when it comes to aliens, it's a big, wide net. In fact, I walked by my friend Spencer the other day, who
Right.
was helping doing something at the church, and I said, "Hey, you believe in aliens, right?" Just randomly, and he was like, I don't know. That's a big conversation."
That's a tough one.
That's just the kind of stuff I ask people.
But that's
apparently.
what I just spurred on you, so now you have to answer.
Yeah. I'm leaning no.
You're leaning no.
I'm
towards-
leaning no, but I have my reasons why. But part of the problem when it comes to aliens is, what do people mean by aliens? Because sometimes, I will just say this. Let me just say this. It's funny to me how you listen to somebody on the news or someone being interviewed on television or from Hollywood,
Right.
and somebody asks them, do you believe in God or do you believe in a creator, etc.? And they're like, no, I don't see the evidence and stuff. And then you go, so what do you think about aliens? Oh my God, I love aliens. Oh my God, I love aliens. They visit me every night. They look just like my grandma. And I love aliens. It's like, do you have hard evidence? Yes, I saw on the dark web a UFO picture. And I'm like, what? Sometimes people are just like, they just hate the idea of God,
Yeah.
but they believe in some type of supernatural force that they've actually never encountered. I'm not saying it's everyone. That's just some people. Anyways, your thoughts?
Wow, that's
Sorry,
welcome to Sexy Theology, I guess. Wow, that's
welcome.
quite the entry. No, I do believe in aliens because I don't believe in an alien being like you
Okay.
and I, right? I don't think they're the oval heads with the
You think, that's just like the cartoon stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do believe that
Like that's what I believe about like the devil. I don't
Right,
I think the devil's a spiritual being, but I don't think he's this
he's got
red.
horns. He's got horns.
Okay, well,
You've
whatever.
obviously never seen the show Lucifer, so
I
yeah,
I haven't.
it's on TV, so it's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone knows that. No, but I do believe, because I don't even think we brought this up as a topic, but since we're on it,
Yeah.
I do believe that in all of the galaxies of all time and all creation, I don't believe God stopped at Earth. Because never once in the Bible, to my knowledge, obviously you're the theology expert here, but never once in the Bible does God say that Earth is the only place of creation and all the galaxies and all the stars that he created is it, right?
Sure.
And every day we explore new galaxies through science and all that crazy stuff.
Right.
But somewhere along the lines, even on Mars, there has to be some sort of insect or atomic creature
Yeah.
that we would consider to be an alien, that if it came to Earth, it would not be an Earth-made being. You know what I'm saying?
So I remember actually, I think talking to my wife about this when we were dating.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's a weird memory. But I remember learning this from somebody when they were talking about how to debate.
Right.
And my wife tells me I should be a lawyer because I'm so quick at debating.
Right.
But so they gave this analogy. If you want, so for those of you who are listening right now or watching on YouTube or whatever, they're not familiar with Tri-Cities, but Tri-Cities is really more than 3 cities, but that's what it was. And there is 3 rivers, but there's a main river, the
Right.
Columbia River.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest river on this side of the Mississippi. And that sounds like some type
do
of joke,
believe
but
so.
it's
Yeah.
true.
I do believe so.
Yeah. On this side of the Mississippi, my brother used to say, you know how people used to say growing up, are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see.
Okay.
My brother used to say growing up, are you from Mississippi? Because you're the only Mississippi. And people laughed, but we have no idea. It doesn't mean anything. It just sounds like it almost means something. Okay.
Maybe that's why I don't have a girlfriend.
Yeah, I don't know. You should
I've
be
never-
talking to Nolan, my brother. Yeah.
Yeah. We
So-
FaceTimed yesterday for about an hour. It was
good.
awesome. Yeah.
But no, so here's the idea. Right now there's the Blue Bridge and the Cable Bridge in Tri-Cities that cross from Kennewick to Pasco or Pasco to Kennewick.
Right.
And the idea is when you're debating somebody or you're trying to prove something or you're trying to argue for something, and someone says, man, we should build a bridge, another bridge, a third bridge.
Right.
And someone says, well, why do you want to build a bridge? That's going to take a lot of effort, money, etc.
Yeah.
The person who's advocating for the bridge is the one who has to prove the reason for the bridge before even what the bridge should be.
Right.
So they can't just go, well, why not? You know, like, because maybe there's better money spent other places, you know? So when I'm talking about aliens, I remember talking to my wife about this a long time ago, and she wasn't some alien advocate or something. We were just talking about aliens. You were saying how the Bible didn't say like God stopped at earth. To some extent, that's true. But what the Bible does say is that we, humans, out of all creation, are his prized possession.
Sure.
So we're his masterpiece, right? Okay. So the question I always ask is, I'm not 100% opposed to it, but we have to ask why. Why would God create more creatures? And I'm not against it.
Yeah.
And maybe we would never know if there was creatures.
Well, what was the point of dinosaurs then?
Well, I mean on
That's a
other,
topic.
on other planets.
Right.
So it's definitely difficult, but I do think it's funny when people are like, there has to be something way out there, and I'm like, okay, like a creator? No, I just listened to Logan Paul the other night. I felt like my brain was melting.
Well, that's
I listened to Logan Paul. No, that's not a knock on Logan.
it's never.
But he was
a
talking about
good
how
idea,
we're maybe we're in a test tube, right? And this is all a simulation, and it's like,
That's drugs.
but
Talking.
okay. But okay, why do you think there has to be other? And I'm not against it. I'm just asking, why do you think there has to be other creatures?
on a small scale,
Yeah,
because
or
there's
however you
water
wanna-
on Mars.
Okay.
I mean, that's in. So that means
Is
that there's yeah. It's I mean, it used to be a huge flowing water planet, and that's why there's actual not craters because those come from asteroids, but canyons and cliffs and
Okay.
like look at America. Look at any of our canyons or cliffs. Those are from historic floods millions of years ago.
Right.
So the actual
Hashtag shout out Noah.
Hey.
Hey.
But the actual landscape of Mars, it's been proven that there is a abundance of water, and below the actual terrain is ice. That's how Elon Musk and his guys on a small scale, really dumbed down.
Yeah, this is really not
going
my
to-
area of expertise, but
that's how they're gonna colonize Mars, is by basically
Okay.
tapping into that water. So there's hydrogen, there's oxygen, and there's an abundance of it. And so with that perfect storm, because that already is a perfect storm, and it used to have a beautiful atmosphere too. That's been scientifically proven. Since then, it's kind of withered away. But below the planet is water and ice, and with that has to come creatures. That's just it's kind of the perfect
Sure.
storm.
Can you say, like, with confidence that you have read or heard of that they have found water on any other planet thus far? Because I haven't heard.
Titan, the moon. I do believe the moon Titan.
For real?
Yeah, if we had someone here to look it up, yeah. But
Hey, Jamie.
hey, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
I'd search on my phone, but
Hey, Joe Rogan sponsors his podcast.
does he though?
No,
He's $100 million richer, man. He's good.
he's a lot richer than
I don't
me.
think he cares about sexy theology.
I think
In
he
fact,
might.
I
One day-
know for a fact he doesn't care about sexy theology.
All right. Well, it's because he doesn't know about it if he knew about it.
True.
By the way, do you? Okay, so we'll have to look into that. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure Titan, the moon for one of the planets out there.
But let's say this. Let's say some scientist was here and they said this. Nope, there's no water on Titan, right, or whatever. There was or is, water on Mars, but that's because of A, B, C, and D. That has nothing to do with, do you still think that it's probable that there's aliens?
If
It
some scientist said
could explain water on Mars. Do you think just because of the massiveness of the galaxy that there's probably aliens, or does that have no?
I obviously lean towards yes.
Okay.
But that's just because think about Earth. We've
Mm-hmm.
only explored X amount of percent of our oceans. We don't even know everything that's on Earth. So if we don't know everything that's on the same planet that we live in, there's no way we have done a 1% research on everything else. Odds are in those 99%, we're going to be surprised once or twice.
I bet you Aquaman's down there somewhere.
He's got to be.
But
Zeus.
it is like flipping insane to like, if you wrap your mind around it, to think that the universe is ever expanding. It's like there's no, there's an end to this room where you knock.
Right. Yeah.
There's a wall. There's no wall that we've found in the universe where it's like, oh, the universe stops here.
Yeah.
God created this. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. And if, like, for those that do believe in God and creation and all that stuff, and it's not some Big Bang theory, which hopefully we get both views on this channel, but at some point in time, you have to think, God, why didn't you just call it quits after Earth? We're good, right?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Why did you have to create this huge thing?
Yeah,
and only put one thing on one planet? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, it's a big question.
Because then you're just playing marbles with a really pretty marble called Earth.
What do you mean? What do you mean you're playing marbles?
If God created everything, right?
Sure.
And he only put people or creation or
humans.
objects on one thing, right?
Okay.
I think humans, yes.
On one planet, Earth.
Yeah, there's only humans on Earth, because if there's humans on Mars, those would be called Martians. And if there were humans on planet X, those would be called Xians or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it does come down to, I mean, there's a lot of layers to all this, but like, then did Jesus die? Was his death really unique? Is there a Jesus for every single one of those planets per se?
And that's the atheist number one argument.
And all those and all those questions. And so,
or did Jesus have to die for other planets?
No, exactly. Like, those questions come to mind. So, I remember being in Mr. Sims' class my senior year. Did you have him?
Yes.
By the way, for anyone listening, we went to high school together. That's how we became friends. And what was that? Southridge. Oh yeah, I'm wearing a Southridge t-shirt right now. Go Suns. But I hate the Braves. But no, I'm just kidding.
Same.
Yeah. I remember being in Mr. Sims' class, and we had a debate. And we were debating about all kinds of stuff that was literally facing legislation that year. And naturally, when you're getting people around that are debating a lot, you end up debating all kinds of stuff over the course of a year. And it was mostly seniors in that class and some juniors. And I remember talking about God to a gal that I still remember her name and everything next to me. Right. And then more people started chirping in. And this was my argument. Like, literally, I had this analogy pop into my head when I was reading the book of Hebrews.
Okay.
And I was reading about Moses in the book of Hebrews. I said, if you walk in the desert and you see a mansion, right? Right. You see just some house, some big house, and there's a patio in the back and a grill, and you're in the middle of the desert. There's nothing around that you can see that's alive, and there's wood, and there is the roof is done, and you go inside and the plumbing works,
right?
And there's water running, like all the things of the house, all the details that go into a house that we've automated today. Do you need to see a video of somebody hammering in the nails? Or do you need to see a blueprint? Or, you know what I'm saying? No, because the incredible design and the thoughtfulness that goes into a door is this wide and this tall, and there's a lock, proves someone crafted it.
Right. Or you're hallucinating.
Or you're hallucinating. And we are the most complex. We cannot create another human in some laboratory the same way with the DNA and the cell work and all that stuff.
Right.
It's insane how complex. I was just listening to a guy, one of the founders of Apple, talking about how we don't even understand the brain. We don't even understand the fullness of the brain, right?
That's very true.
We are complicated beings. And I'm like, when people ask for evidence of God, I'm like, you.
Yeah.
I don't know. And listen, I'm not saying that's the one argument to end it all for all atheists, because it's not that simple.
Right.
But I try to, that's the idea of intelligent design and intelligent designer, you know? And so then my question becomes is, does that intelligent designer, that creator, God, whatever you want to call him, for me, it's God. You know, why would he create other beings in other places when, you know, it's not like he's lonely.
True.
So, yeah, I don't
True.
know. But it's definitely a really big conversation.
I love that argument of basically putting God in Adam form, like Adam and Eve, not Adam.
Oh,
like,
I was like, wait, what?
But to say that God was lonely or needed people around him or something, that's why he made Eve, is to accompany Adam.
Yes.
And so
okay.
And I love that argument of, well, God just wanted friends or whatever they say, you know.
Right.
It's hilarious to me
Right.
because the creator of everything could have created anything, and he did. He created everything.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
But to put him in a human Adam form is hilarious to me. It's very uneducated.
Yes, it is. So I have a 1-year-old daughter, right?
Bless her heart.
Bless her heart.
She's running.
And she's like running around now. We didn't have a baby because we're like, God, we're so freaking lonely. We were like, we want to have a family, you know?
Right.
And one day I'm assuming you're going to have a kid, and it's not going to be because it's like, man, I really want to change some poopy diapers. You know what I mean? I'm prophesying.
Speak it
Come on,
into existence.
In Jesus' name.
Put hands on me.
Okay.
Maybe we cut that
there
out.
we go. No, it's whatever. But because there's a longing for family. So, by the way, you mentioned this earlier. I don't have, this is not a hill I would die on, but I believe in microevolution instead of macroevolution. Microevolution being that, God at the beginning created types. For example, types of birds, and then there was microevolution through the different animals that created, the different species or whatever.
God didn't create a liger.
Sure. Right. Exactly. And even, I don't know how far that goes back. I'm not, that's not my forte per se. But I actually don't have a massive problem with the Big Bang Theory. And the reason, but people would go, well, how do you believe the Bible? Well, the Bible is, and we've talked about this a lot of times, the Bible is not a science book.
Right.
Moses, we think Moses wrote Genesis, and there's a lot to it there, but he doesn't know about biology or chemistry.
Right.
He's writing stories that have been passed down, and the Spirit of God is inspiring him, whatever that looks like. So
let me ask you this, because this is actually something that I truly don't have an answer for. I don't have a theology answer.
Okay.
And you probably do. And I certainly don't have a physical answer. I have a physical idea, but what do you think Moses looked like? Because it's been scientifically proven that humans
just like us.
Yeah. Yeah. but modern day humans came from a very I don't want to say monkey form,
Homo
but
sapien, cavemen with the archbacks.
But even the skull was different. I've been to many museums that have fossils of different shaped skulls. We started off as a very wide face with a deep head, and now we've kind of shaped into a more of a perfect circle-ish, if you will.
Yeah.
Basically has to do with jaw structure and brain size.
So your question is, what's your question on that though?
What do you think Moses looked like?
Okay.
There's no way he looked like you and I. Millions and millions and millions of years ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, to start off, there is a debate on how old the Earth is, right?
Right.
And so some people,
it's clearly billions.
Well,
it's clearly in the billions.
Well, yeah, but I was just talking to somebody a few months ago who we both know who is avidly against that theory and believes that the Earth is thousands of years old. Now,
well, then he doesn't know how a tree grows. I mean,
well, I know, but they have their arguments, and I'm not saying, and I actually don't agree. I actually agree with you. I actually believe the Earth. I believe in the old Earth theory. I believe the Earth is really old. I believe Genesis, the book of Genesis, even supports that. But again, Genesis, if we try to take it like a science book, it's going to let you down. Just like I don't take my American Lit book and I go, man, this isn't figuring out my algebra problem. There might be math in there talking about it, but it's not there to solve it. So the Bible, okay, so with that, I don't know what Moses looked like. Here's my thoughts, though. I thought about that the other day, but I don't know. Now, do I believe humans came from monkeys? No, I don't. The fact is that you and I,
Mm-hmm.
now I could be stating this wrong. Again, I'm talking about a lot of things I've not studied on, but
Mm-hmm.
as far as I can tell, every single person on earth is 97% or more, all have the same DNA or something of that nature, same
Right, yeah.
cellular structure or something like that.
They have the same physical composition.
So
for sure.
the fact that we have similar build up of whatever that is with monkeys doesn't convince me, because you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because there's so many things that are similar like that, and I think that's points to God. I mean, freaking brilliance, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know. I leave that open. That's what I'm gonna have to find out about in the next life to some degree. But
That
I
sounds
have
exciting.
no idea. I have no idea.
How old do you think the Earth actually is, though? Like the story of
I
Moses, right?
yes,
How far back in an estimate?
I don't have a number right now because I can't remember. I at one point I had a number, but it's just not a huge thing for me. It's not like what I read most of,
Right.
but I believe it's really old, over a billion.
You think it
Yes,
is in the billions?
Yeah, probably.
That's fair.
But it's millions or billions in my book.
I would say it's at least in the nine figures.
Yeah, I
which
don't-
is the hundreds of millions.
Yeah, I think yeah. So anyways, but either way, I mean all this stuff though. Some people they love this stuff. I don't think it's fun to talk about whatever. I definitely think it's like none of this stuff is the foundation, right? It's not like, man, if the Bible doesn't support this and Jesus, wasn't even real, it's like, what? That's a weird logic.
Yeah.
So I don't get too caught up on it, although I think it's fun. I think it's interesting, and I think there's some truth there. But what it does signify, we don't have to spend too much time talking about this, but there's doubt. Like people have doubt.
Right.
So people doubt certain stuff. So moving away from kind of the extraterrestrial topics like aliens and UFOs. Oh, by the way,
that was a heck of a start, by the way.
it was a start. It was a strong one. Did you ever
love
see growing up the videos of the cornfields or the corn maze fields or whatever they were, the fields?
I
and then
stayed away
and,
from those.
and there was like these patterns, and it was like, how did And then I saw a video years later of like people actually doing it to get fame.
Oh boy.
Like farmers actually laying down stuff in their trucks and doing it themselves.
Oh boy.
Anyways,
It's tricky.
doubt I don't think is a bad thing, and I think we sometimes think that faith and doubt are opposites. They're not,
Right.
because faith is not this blind leap where it's like, dude, you gotta have faith. Okay, Lord, and it's like, don't doubt, dude, don't doubt.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not. I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah, the verse in James 1:6 maybe.
I misquote stuff all the time.
Yeah, he who asks must not doubt.
Ask for wisdom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. James 1.
That's not necessarily a science right there. Like
Like a perfect recipe.
yeah,
you mean?
it's okay to have doubts.
Oh,
it's
sure.
okay to walk out on the water, right? In that story.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he started doubting, he sank, or however the story went.
Right.
Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but even before he got out, he had doubts. Yet he still somehow was above the water for half a second or however long it was.
Right.
To not ever have any doubts means that you are pretty gullible.
Well, if you don't have doubts, that means, in my opinion, one of two things. It means, one, you never ask questions, so you just accept whatever information was given to you at the basis of whenever you started believing whatever you believed. Like,
Which is our age group.
yeah, it can be. It can be. Yeah. Or it means if you don't have doubts, it just means, well, no, I guess this would be tied in the first one. It just, you're kind of in this like denial of anything that goes against you,
Right.
or anything that goes against what you believe.
Right.
I do think that's why sometimes, not everybody, I don't want to put everyone in the same camp. I do think that's why sometimes, though, people like lose it when I say, yeah, I think the Bible supports old earth. The Bible wasn't created in a literal 6 days. And they go,
Yeah.
because they grew up learning
Yeah.
on the first day, not realizing that the Bible, there's more to it than that. And so doubt, but yeah, so I don't think people like to doubt.
I just the thing that baffles me though
Mhm.
is the young, and we'll just go on the last topic just for a second though, and it kind of kicks in with doubt, is the young earthers, right? The people that believe in a short time frame,
Yeah.
under sub 1 million, I guess is a short time frame. How long do you think the Earth was frozen?
I would say that they would say it's under 50,000 every single time.
Yeah, and that's fairly
Because
ridiculous.
there's not a whole lot of middle ground here.
How long do they think the Ice Age was? Because that's been proven. That is known. Like
Yes,
woolly mammoth and
I-
saber-toothed tigers. That's been proven. It's
So-
still being proven.
I will say this though. I watched a debate between two people on this topic years ago, and one guy was talking about how a plane got crashed and was buried from some war. I don't remember. And there's certain again, I'm gonna get this so off.
Sure.
So nobody email me, nobody text me, but there was these certain icicle things that would build, and every inch or whatever represented a year, some type of measurement. And they knew when it had crashed because of the event and the war.
Yeah.
And when they got back, actually it would have looked like it was 200 years later when it was only 40. And so they were saying there are times when the measurements aren't always the same because you don't know when the measurement starts. And now again, I actually don't even agree with the whole premise. I'm just saying I think there's some arguments on the other side. I think holistically it doesn't make sense.
Right.
But
I think it's a really pretty idea, but
yeah.
not necessarily.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like at the end of the day, it's like, man, if people get that ticked off about those minor details, it's like, dude, we got to fight for the real stuff, the stuff that really matters. You know what I mean? What for me, doubt though, I've doubted stuff. I've doubted in my own life, like at times I've doubted, should I be doing what I'm doing? I've doubted at times.
Here we go.
I'm being dead serious. Like I've doubted at times. We've talked about stuff like this before.
Oh, for sure.
I've doubted at times, Now, actually, to be honest with you, I don't think I want to be careful because I don't want to lie. I don't think, I can think of right now off the top of my head, I don't think I've doubted God's existence.
Oh, I certainly have.
You might have, yeah.
Certainly.
I have doubted a lot of things, but not that. And here's why. Here's how I know here's why I think maybe I have, but here's why here's why I don't think I have. I remember a young man coming to me, I've been a youth pastor for 9 years. Actually, it'll be 9 years in August.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it depends on
since we were juniors.
Yeah. And dude, I remember this young man come up to me. He was probably 16, 17, something like that. And he had a dark past. He really messed around with some evil stuff. Sure. I'm talking like witchcraft. I'm talking like sacrifices.
That's the fun stuff right there.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't do that.
No, don't do that.
Sure.
And he comes up to me and he had a messy past, and so I had some compassion on that and stuff. And he comes up to me one day and was like, I'm struggling. I don't believe in God, and he's like, I've been going back. And he was messing around with drugs at a young age and all this stuff, and which is not good, especially when you're like, when you've been through stuff and, whatever, right? And you're that young. And so he comes up to me and says all this stuff. He goes, I want to stop and just say real quick, this kid and I had a really good relationship, a tight relationship, so I could say this, okay? So don't think I'm a jerk.
Sure.
But I told him, he's like, I don't believe in God anymore, Austin. And I go, you really believe that? I don't know. Now that I'm saying the story, I don't know if I should be sharing this story.
Oh, boy.
But I'm going to share it.
Yeah, you kind of have to. You're too far.
Oh, yeah.
You're too far into
Okay. He said, I don't think I believe in God anymore. And I said, you really? He goes, yeah. I said, I don't believe you. And he goes, why is that? He's like, why? He was almost like, why? Why don't you believe me? I'm like, I don't believe that you don't believe in God. Because you're not willing to prove it. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, you should go. Oh my God. I shouldn't be sharing. I basically told him, you should go do the old stuff you used to do. If you really don't believe in God.
Yeah,
and he goes, heck no. And I'm like,
Bingo.
Why? He's like, because, oops, sorry, I knocked my mic. Because the Bible says this, that the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. Now, fear doesn't mean you're terrified of him like you would be of a horror movie. It means there's an awe and a reverence there. That's what it means in Hebrew. There's an awe. There's like a, hey, you're bigger than me. I know you love me, but I'm not trying to like manipulate you. Like I'm not going to treat like you're a 7-year-old and I can just boss you around. Like there's a reverence there. It's like, okay, you're the CEO of the world, right?
Right.
And that's where wisdom kicks in. So it's like his faith was failing him in that moment. Like he wasn't having faith, but he still had the fear of God, and the fear of God kept him from doing something stupid, and the fear of God kicked in at that moment, and he said, "Nope." Now, how can you have the fear of the Lord? How can you be scared to do something like that if you don't believe in God? And I think he was. I think he was just suppressing it. I think there was doubt, but I think it wasn't just like, oh, God's not real.
I don't know if I'm going off on a different subject here. But
sorry, that was a long story.
You're good. Because it bred a decent question of mine.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate the fear of God versus common sense? Right? Like let's say in my life before I met Christ or that story began, I was in a gang, right? I was 5'4" in high school. I was 5'4".
I'm just laughing because I was not expecting you to say gang.
Right.
Okay.
I was 5'4" and like 120 pounds until my senior year, and then the military kicked in and all that stuff. But I was a hardcore gang member, right?
Sure.
So, and then I get a relationship with Christ, and I meet the right people, and I join the right church, and so on and so forth. Have a good community, and then I don't want to go back to that, not because it's ungodly, not because it's some wrongdoing to do gang activity in the Christian realm, but because I don't want to do it. I know that
because you just understand
gang violence leads to a worse life than what I live right now.
So you understand the consequences,
right? Yeah.
Right. And
how do you differentiate the two?
Okay, so that's a good question. So the difference is the Bible actually says that God has written the law on our hearts. And what I mean by that is, I'm talking about sensible people. I'm not talking about outliers. I'm not talking about people who have mental disease and things of that nature, or people, or people who have been brainwashed. Right? I'm talking about normal people. Everyone agrees it's wrong to murder an innocent 2-year-old.
Yeah, most would say that. Yeah.
Right. Everyone that's not been brainwashed, not mentally ill.
Right.
Or
you can say normal because anyone that
normal, or you should be locked up if you think that's okay forever, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's certain things like that, and that's a classic Christian argument against atheism. Where does that come from? Right, and there is some deep conversations about that, and we don't got to dive into all that. So I do believe part of it is that God has written His laws in our heart. You know that there are certain things that the general world understands. This is right and this is wrong. Why? Because an intelligent designer wrote that on inside of us, right?
Or and the contrary is, I think there's just a general consensus that young life is beautiful.
Right, and well,
I mean, all life is beautiful.
All life
is
beautiful,
but
there's right and wrong.
Young and innocent,
but there's right and wrong.
Is beautiful. Yes, there is. Right
and wrong. I would say, and we want to protect even the innocence.
Yes,
in people, 100%. I agree with that. Yes. Like the thought of anybody, trying to break in to my apartment. Now that I have a daughter, it makes me think about creative ways,
right,
that I would protect her. If you know what I'm saying.
Come on now.
Okay. So
First Amendment.
I do have a shotgun.
Wow. First Amendment, Second Amendment.
That was second. I know. Yeah, sorry.
Wow. I screwed that one up.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, yeah.
I dropped out of college.
I knew what you meant. I knew. Yeah. So did I. I'm going back though.
Not me.
Okay.
I make too much money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to write a book or something. I don't know. No, okay. But here's the deal. You're not, let's say you're not a Christian, you don't want to go back to a gang life or whatever it is, because you just understand A plus B equals C, and I'd rather not have that in my life and whatever. Yeah, basic common sense, right? But common sense isn't going to tell you necessarily to do certain things that are common sense to a Christian, right? So common sense for a Christian, I'm using the term common sense because you use that term.
Sure.
Common sense for me is like, okay, I'm not going to go to this other religious temple and offer a sacrifice to their gods. I'm not going to pray to Satan. Common sense. Okay. And that's an extreme example.
Right.
Okay. I'm not going to start reading the Quran or these other books and then neglect the Bible as a Christian.
Right. You would read them for some sort
maybe
of
other
study.
reasons, but not neglecting the scriptures, right?
Yeah.
And the reason that what keeps me from doing those dumb things at the end of the day is going, I have a reverence for God.
Mm.
Like when you watch the movies, when somebody walks in the courtroom and they're just respectful to the king,
Mm-hmm.
because they know, even if they have a good relationship with the king, they love the king, all that stuff, but the king's still the king.
Right.
And I think that's the idea. It's like you're in his kingdom, and it's like, hey, he loves me and forgives me, but he will allow me to go through consequences, because he's not some Pinocchio puppet master in my life that's just making me avoid all the consequences. Because if that's the case, what consequences does he make me avoid and not?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He allows me choice. That's what a good king does. A good king doesn't control people.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you asked a deep question there.
Oh, I'm there with it. I'm there with it.
We're there with it, man.
So if that's what a good king does, we might be getting off topic again. So
No,
I
I don't
apologize.
care. No,
but,
we're just having a conversation.
Was Hitler a good leader? That's
Man,
an
we've talked about
age-old
this.
question. That's an age-old question.
It does depend on how you define leader or a good leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're
A good leader to me is someone that can lead a group. Look, and this is Tyler Borders. If you're watching this, this came from your and I's phone call last year. Thank you. A good leader leads.
Shout out to Tybo.
Tybo, baby.
Yeah.
A good leader leads and can turn around and be willingly followed. That's what a good leader is.
Okay.
So if I can lead my company, right?
Yeah.
The company that I'm in my position for, if I can lead the employees, turn around and have them, you know, in theory, willingly following and doing the direction that I've instilled, I'm a good leader.
Yeah. I think you're, and this sounds so horrible to say.
Right.
I think he's a good leader in the sense of he was effective at doing what he wanted to do.
Right.
Good, not in the sense of moral. And I think you're right.
Of course, yeah.
So, yeah. Well, you know, it's actually interesting because, in some degree, everybody in their life is a leader because everybody holds some type of influence, you know, even if it's just a one person, right? But they hold some type of influence, and you know, I think as a leader, as somebody who's influencing themselves and others, doubt plays a huge part. I kind of view it like this: when you're doubting, like if people are listening to this and they've doubted their purpose or God or whatever, I would want to encourage everyone to say, one, that's normal. If you're not ever doubting, it means you're not ever thinking. But doubt, I think, can either, like I'll say like this, questions, I think, can drive you away from God or towards God. I'm not scared to be confronted with any evidence. I'm not. Because if someone can absolutely prove to me that Scripture's not real, I'm going to put up a fight, because I've devoted my life to and it's, you know, you're not going to find one YouTube video and be able to just dismantle what my years of study. But I'm not scared of that, because if that's true, guess what? I ain't going to be a Christian anymore.
Yeah. You get to sleep in on Sundays.
I get to
Come on now.
If none of it's true,
Right.
my life's going to dramatically change.
Right.
So is my perspective and stuff.
There was a sermon that you gave years. We were in high school. We were at the Boys and Girls Club with the youth group. That was old, man.
This is before our church had a building. Our youth group for a season met in the Boys and Girls Club in Pasco, Washington.
Right. You gave a sermon, and either at the very end or the altar call or something, I remember you saying the words, "If this is all a lie, it is the greatest lie ever told." Do you remember that? It was
vaguely.
I don't think it was part of the Broken Rose that I was quote unquote saved at.
Yeah, sure.
But it was at some point you said, if this is a lie, it's the greatest lie ever told, because millions and millions have bought into it. Billions even.
Yes. I do remember this now, because I was quoting C.S. Lewis, who said Jesus Christ is either Lord, liar, or lunatic, but you have to decide one of those.
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
It's the greatest lie ever told. Oh yeah. So if it's all a lie, I think everybody's life changes. If there's some sort of historical proof, you know, saying that God never existed or Jesus never died or whatever it is.
Tell me if you agree with this statement. I feel like when life is busy, and it's busy, it's always busy in a sense, right? There's always stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the world is less busy now because of COVID-19 and quarantine, right?
The majority of people, yeah.
Yeah, the majority of people, and just economically and all in travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a friend who just traveled recently, and they're like, yeah, the plane was, not very full.
Yeah.
I think when the world is busier, I tend to, there's more doubt. And not that I'm doubting everything, and I'm like every morning I'm like, is God real? But just that's a little bit more of the tendency. When life is slow like this for me and it feels like the ball's not moving much, it's more of a lack of motivation at times. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
I feel less like I want to get out of bed and like do what I'm supposed to do that day. Not even the spiritual stuff. I'm just like,
Sure.
gotta brush my teeth,
Yeah.
Do you feel that
Which
way?
I didn't do that this morning.
Oh God.
Just so we're just.
Dude.
I
You would.
mean, yeah.
I wouldn't admit that, but hey, that's
I
okay.
did last night, but
Oh my gosh.
I had pizza for breakfast this morning.
Dude.
Bro, it's Sunday. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Do you? That's hilarious. Would you resonate with that, or would you describe it differently?
I don't know.
Does that make sense what I said? When life is busier, there tends to be a little bit more doubt, a little bit more questioning. And when life is slower, I don't question as much. I've found for me what's been tougher has been the lack of motivation to read my Bible and stuff like that. And that's why I've had to dig in and discipline. And trust me, I've not been perfect, but but yeah.
I will say yes, but I say yes hesitantly because I don't know if it's well, I've been on record, just so everyone's clear.
Yeah.
I've been on record saying that my generation is terribly lazy. Terribly. And the only reason that I am, obviously.
How old are you right now? Just so people have an idea.
I turned 26 in 2 weeks.
July 22nd, baby.
Hey, let's go.
I know what I'm
You're a
talking
good
about. I know what I'm
friend.
talking about.
August 17th.
Yep.
Is when you turn 26.
When you hit the mic.
But we're good friends.
Yeah.
But the reason that I'm in the position that I'm in, the reason why I've had success in my previous career field, which was fixing airplanes, and
in the Air Force.
Right, yeah. Is because all you have to do to stand out at our age and younger, maybe a little bit older, kind of that Generation X and millennial, is just give effort. You don't have to be good at anything. Just give every single ounce of your effort into one object for a certain amount of time a day, and you will grow astronomically. I have lived by that in 2 different jobs, and I've proven it in 2 different jobs.
Okay.
I've only had to have 2 different jobs in my entire life. Obviously, I had high school gigs where a restaurant,
yogurt shops.
Hey,
Let's not go there.
Yeah.
But okay, so what does it have to do with the motivation?
Yeah, so here's what I'm saying is I don't know if it's the motivation of just the general public at this day and age, or if it's the quarantine aspect of this whole pandemic. But I will say that yes, motivation lacks when the world is slower, and hence why no one's really trying to have any quote unquote side hustles right now. A lot of people are just comfortable with collecting the money they're getting from the government, and don't get me wrong, I would be too. That'd be awesome.
Sure,
it would be awesome to sit at home and do that.
Sure,
but obviously,
and part of it too is some people can't do a side hustle.
Sure, of course.
Like hypothetically speaking, like the kid can't sell maybe the lemonade, or maybe he can, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because everything's locked down. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I think that's totally true.
But no, I think the motivation lacking doesn't have to result in complacency. I don't know if maybe that's where you're getting with your question, but it doesn't have to result in complacency.
Okay.
For example, if I was out of my job right now, right, which thank God I'm not,
right,
because someone else can benefit from that government funds that can't go to their job,
right.
But if I was out of my job, I would be perfecting one of my instruments. I would be perfecting my videography, my photography kind of hobby on the side there. I wouldn't be looking to make money. Maybe I would. I don't know.
Perfecting the pizza eating for breakfast.
Yeah. Come on, somebody.
Yeah.
But which if you reheat pizza at $3.75 for 15
is that the goal?
$3.75 for 15
I've never reheated pizza in an oven.
On a Traeger, bro.
But I did just start
It's on.
like the strictest diet of my entire life for 30 days.
Carnivore. Yeah.
It's gonna be a little bit modified.
Which we might have to eat those steaks.
It's gonna be a little bit modified. I'm gonna add some spices and maybe some sauce, but
I like that.
dude, you're gonna have to pray for me, bro.
Oh, come on, somebody.
Anyways,
that's a man's dream, though, is eating meat every day.
Dude, I honestly today.
Too much meat?
I'm a cheese guy. I like cheese and sauce.
You are, yeah.
And
Very
I can't.
cheesy.
And I did some burger patties without cheese. I hate burgers without cheese. I can't. I just need one slice, bro.
Flank steak has to be your best friend over the next 30 days.
I'm gonna
flank and sirloin.
I'm gonna go to Costco and get, because I need fatty choices. So I'm gonna get some.
Or sausage. I like sausage.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it.
I'm a fan of kielbasa.
Flat iron?
sausage.
No, that's not what it was. Anyways, sorry. Wow.
What are we doing here?
I don't know.
No. But it doesn't have to result in complacency, right?
Okay.
People. I don't want to say need to, because I'm not anyone's parent, but the human race ought to find something that they enjoy, because depression, all-time high. Anxiety, all-time high. Suicide,
alcohol consumption.
Consumption.
Pornography consumption.
I don't know if alcohol is in all-time high. I don't have that stat, but pornography certainly.
I all I know is I've read online that it's up.
Yeah,
I've read that from my news app on my iPhone or whatever.
Yeah, but suicide, second all-time high right now in the last 10 years.
The first, I heard this.
I think
I heard this on a podcast. The first 8 weeks of quarantine, there was more deaths in LA County by suicide than COVID.
Wow.
And let's not even get into the COVID debate, but I'm just saying,
Wow, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Sad.
Now there's a lot of people in LA County in a wide spectrum.
I think it's the most populated county in America, is it not?
I don't know. California's its own beast. Right.
Yes.
And LA is the beast within the beast. Yeah. So.
But what I'm saying is complacency doesn't have to, or the
lack of motivation,
lack of hustle and bustle, and lack of motivation doesn't have to result in complacency, because complacency is where that dark times seep in. And believe me, if the people that are listening have heard of any of the other podcasts that I've ever done with you, I've lived that life. I, in a lot of ways, continue to live that darker life,
struggle or fight.
Nighttime is always a weird time.
The fight against depression.
Right. Yeah. And of course, if there's anyone out there that wants to talk about that, you're welcome at my house for as long as you want to talk about that. We will talk about that. But it doesn't have to result in not doing anything, sleeping all day, sitting in your house all day. Go for a walk. The world is beautiful. Learn something that you don't know. It's okay to not know everything, but learn. 100%.
I would. Okay. What I
hope that answers your
question.
It
was a great. No, I thought it was fabulous. I was actually going to do an episode that's kind of dedicated to this topic, but a little preview is, and my dad actually touched on it a little bit this morning at church, but one of the best things I've done for myself during quarantine has been to change up my Bible routine, because I was noticing that just wasn't life-giving. It's like you're drinking a water with a straw in it, but there's a hole in the straw, and you're trying, but you're not. It's not refreshing. It's not like meeting the need, and that's what it felt like.
Isn't that the worst? You get a big old Coke from McDonald's, and you puncture it, and the straw breaks.
Yeah, it is the worst.
Slurping the whole time.
It is, and
it's awful.
And so changing up that stuff, but okay, beyond that stuff, which I'll probably talk about another time in more detail. The best thing that I've done for my relationship with God and for my own mental sake and emotional health and for my marriage and every other thing, because what affects me affects all those other things, right? Has been to go on a hike every day.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
It's been spiritual. Yeah. And I'm not getting all weird and like, oh, I met God on the mountain. But sometimes we don't do anything that I think gets our mind off of the stuff that we're so stuck on thinking about. And sometimes the way we try to escape thinking about the stuff that's stressing us out is through more stuff that I think subconsciously stresses us out or just numbs us, like social media, for some people, alcohol, whatever. And listen, we've all coped with stress and those things the wrong way. Everybody has.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
but
Some a lot
So-
longer than others.
well, and some in different ways,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
And some in different ways. Some people they just
Right.
eat.
Right.
I've
right.
done that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but what I love is I'll do that for an hour and a half, 5 days a week, and I've been doing it for 3 weeks.
Mm.
And I listen to just different types of music, or sometimes a lecture, or sometimes a book. And dude, I try to go at a pace that's tough, so that I don't want to talk. I don't want to even think about anything other than that hike and just getting through it. And I went from never hiking ever to doing it almost every day. And so my legs have been torn up because I've been doing it every day, and went from 0 to 100. And it's been so helpful. And I turn my phone off, like
That's the
on
biggest part,
airplane. McKenna and I almost 5 days a week, Monday through Fridays, we do one walk around the neighborhood. Sometimes we'll stop at the dog park with the dog. We leave our phones. We don't even bring them.
Yeah.
We leave them at the apartment. And
It's so freeing.
but
man.
here, okay, can I just say this, and then we got to wrap up. But I'll just say this: I don't want to go from one extreme to the other, where it's like I never respond to people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, I turn into like a really bad, like
Oh, that's me, man.
No,
I'm
but-
terrible at it.
no, but like what I mean is, I at times I'm like, man, I wish I could just throw my phone against the
Mhm.
concrete and use a flip phone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would actually hate that though. I would want to check ESPN. I would want to play Clash Royale.
The problem is,
You know what I'm saying?
I already don't use the apps. I just spend the money
Well-
because the phone's cool.
Right. No, and that's true. But I think what I'm really good at sometimes is I go from extreme to extreme.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking for me.
Right.
And so I'm trying to find better ways of balancing that, where it's like, okay, my phone itself is not evil. It's a neutral. It's just a technology. I am kind of addicted to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think it's been the
I
most
think-
spiritual thing.
I think
for me.
everybody's too addicted to the attention they get from a phone.
Sure.
I guess, but
Okay, you got 30 seconds.
oh boy.
Ready for this lightning round?
Oh. Okay.
You have to give in 30 seconds. What's one way do you think the world's going to change after COVID-19? When this is all done and we start going back to normal, you got to fit within 30 seconds, and then I'll give a 15-second guess. It's almost like a hot take before the season of of like the NFL or something.
Okay, so in short, I think that the world's going to change by a lot of people are going to see the talentless talent out there, meaning the influencers, if you will, as not necessarily
like in jobs.
Yeah, they're not necessarily prevalent. I think actual talent is going to go a little bit farther after this whole COVID thing, because we've all been locked into our house watching the same people online, watching the same people do the same things, and we're used to their tactics now because everybody's seeing it. I think a lot more people are going to gain a skill out of this, and if we get through this with the beauty that I think we will, I think the music, the entertainment, I think the workforce or the work source.
Yeah.
I think all of that is going to be a lot better, and I think we're going to have a little bit more respect for one another's personal health.
Yeah,
I think.
I think that's good.
I hope I'm correct.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't have thought of that. That's an interesting perspective. I heard Pastor Rick Warren. He's a real famous pastor in Orange County, California, and he gave this analogy about he put two people next to him on a stage, and he was leaning on one, and then someone over top of him was pushing him down, and so the way he was leaning was the way he was going to fall. You know what I'm saying? And he was talking about, he goes, he's like, you don't want to try to rest on God when life's pressure starts pushing you down. You want to be leaning on him all the time. So whether you're going through a lot of success and finances aren't a thing to worry about, but at one point they do, you're already leaning on him. Or, and he used a bunch of different examples. I think during COVID, it's revealed, and I'm not saying this in a condemning way, for me too, it's revealed what we're leaning on. And in that, probably the biggest thing, and this may sound like kind of poetic or artistic or something, I don't know, but I think what it's going to do, I think post-COVID-19, it's going to make people who went through this, it's going to make them more reflective or reconsider things. Like for me, I've gone, hey, was the way I was living life before COVID-19, because it's made me change.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the best way for my personal health or my family or my my friendships, going at the pace I was going? Like, and that's one example.
That's a very good point.
But I think I think it might make people more reflective. Like, hey, do we actually need this position?
Mm.
Hey, do I actually need this in my life? Because, dude, I think,
or the contrary, maybe we need more.
or maybe we need more, right? Because, dude, there's been times where I'm like, dude, I'm tired of my phone.
Yeah.
But it's like the only thing to do right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
I miss not having my phone next to me at all times.
Right.
Oh, those are the good days.
Right.
Those are the great days.
And so I think the takeaway is the more we can all get creative on how to bring better balance in our lives in these areas, the better for everyone across the board. Because your balance is going to look different than my balance is going to look different than so-and-so's balance, and et cetera. But yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
It's very insightful.
Hey, Evan, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Well, thank you. I appreciate this.
This was probably a little all over the map for people, but that's okay, because
Covered a lot of topics.
we covered a lot of topics, but we're just two friends talking about stuff.
And this is, tell the people, this is what every single conversation with you and I is like.
Yeah, sometimes it's
weird.
different topics, but yes, it really is. It kind of rabbit trails. There's stories involved and analogies and whatever.
There's too much wisdom on one end.
Oh my god,
Not enough over here.
No.
I'm just trying to suck it all in.
Yeah, no. I will tell you this though. I think I've always prided myself, and I've wanted to be a good question asker, because someone told me growing up, someone we both know, he said, a smart person gives good answers. A wise person asks good questions. Anyways, we're done. Something to think about. Love you too. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Sexy Theology Podcast. Hey, listen up. It helps me a lot if you share the podcast, and if you're on Apple, iTunes, whatever, Apple Podcasts, if you go on there and you leave a review and you leave a comment, it helps me a lot. I do all the back end stuff on this, and so sharing it just gets the word out. I appreciate it so much. If you ever want to get a hold of me, you can. My social media handles and all that stuff are down below in the description of the podcast. And if you ever want to donate to the podcast to support it, would love to do some more stuff with it in the future. You can find the link to that down below in the description as well. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you, and we will see you in the next episode. Peace.